Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam. Brothers and sisters, I'm joined today by my brother, Julian Rollins. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Salam, bro.
You just came back from a few days of serious time, personal time, surfing on the coast of Malaysia. And we were just having a discussion just before recording this video about how that relates to the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam today. The importance of connecting to nature and how we miss that. And how that affects our performance in everything in life. Specifically something that we've been talking a lot about lately, the issue of having real men in this ummah. So give me a little bit of, I want to know, how did you feel in this retreat? And we talked about some cool things. Share that with the audience, please.
Well, I've been surfing all my life, and when I became Muslim, it was such a big rush of Iman, and I thought I don't need anything else, but I realized that a man needs to fulfill his passion, a man needs to be healthy, and ultimately surfing is a very spiritual experience.
And halal.
It's a very spiritual experience for me. It connects me to my soul, and I was just telling you, when you look at the ocean, there's no limit, and I always compare the ocean to be like my heart or my soul, and the land, the earth, to be like my body, So you realize your soul is much bigger than your body.
That's powerful.
So there's a lot of lessons you can learn from any sport, but surfing is very good to develop your manhood because it teaches you how to commit. When you take a wave, it's gonna take you a lot of while to come back to another wave. So brothers, a lot of brothers, they are reluctant to get married, for example, because they are afraid to commit. And I can talk, on behalf of my brother who is not a non-Muslim, and he has having girlfriends, and because he is scared to commit to one woman. And a lot of our brothers in our ummah are also scared to commit, But in surfing, you select your waves. You take your time. Choose, and once you have a proper one, you just ride it. It's the same. It's the same with a woman. You look, and once you find a good woman, don't run away from her. Because you might never find a woman like this. And it's the same with a wave. So
you don't hesitate.
You don't hesitate.
Commit.
And you don't feel like, maybe I'm gonna get another one better. You will never find perfection, and that's the problem sometimes of people. They are looking for perfection, but perfection is an attribute of Allah. It's not an attribute of a human being. So there's a lot.
Explain a bit more about you. You talked about the ocean being like the soul, and the beach or the earth, and you talked about how you have to have the soul going to the driving force, right?
Basically the soul is what makes you perform at your highest level. So it's like a wave. It takes thousands of miles to reach the shore. Such your soul. We're coming from Jannah. We told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we will recognize His greatness and who He is. And if you look at the earth, is much. The ocean is much bigger than the earth, and we are saying 70% is the ocean, 20% in the earth. So really, when you understand that, sometimes we limit ourselves with our brain and our body, and we think small. And especially when you're a man, you have to think big. You have to think for the sake of your deen, the sake of your ummah. You have to be more bold, and it goes also with your family. You want to have many children. To have many wives. It's a normal process, It's not.
So it's an issue of the heart and the soul. That courage, where you're not scared. You recognize that Allah is the provider. Allah is the one who's in control of the universe, and you have to fulfill this destiny that Allah has put for you, right?
Yeah, it's making you connect with Allah, and it's just awakening your soul, And living in nature. This is very important to develop your manhood and your sisterhood.
What's the problem today? Why are we?
As you know, we've been shifting from rural lives to urban lives, and this makes our lifestyle very easy. And that's why our boys are weak.
Very weak.
I lived 7 years in the farm, for example, from 7 to 14 years old. I was taking care of sheep on weekends. You know, I was playing soccer in the field, you know, with my brother. I was driving 10 kilometers to see some friends on a bicycle. Kids don't do that anymore, you know. So I started to learn surfing at 13 years old, staying in the water 6 hours a day. So you build your character through nature, and it makes you fearless. It makes you connected with the creation, with the creator.
Right.
And we lost that, you know. I think it's and look at during the time of the Quraysh, even the Quraysh themselves,
the people,
in a small village like Makkah, because now it's a small village for us. They knew the importance of sending their kids to other families that were living in the rural area.
In the desert.
So this is a formula of success. This is how Rasulullah was brought up, and this is what we need to come back to, which means we need to spend our weekends outside of the cities. For those who can live outside of the cities, even better. I'm personally into agriculture, so for me it's easy. I do spend some time with my business outside of the city. So it's very an invitation for the brothers and sisters to realize it's a must. Like living in the city, you do your business, but as soon as you can get out, spend your holiday in the cities. Like when I hear people spending the holidays visiting other cities, I think it's very sad, brother.
Or in the malls or anything.
Because cities is here to do business. Yes, there are some things we need to do, but when I went back to surfing, it really taught me like how important it is to connect with the sunset, with the sunrise, with the moon. You see how close is the moon. You understand how close are the stars, and how close are Allah. As a matter of fact, you know.
This is one of the things that subhanAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always directing our attention in the Quran to the ayat in nature, the signs in nature. And when you are ripped apart from nature, then you cannot see the signs of Allah. And that is why the rise of atheism and people disbelieving is directly proportional to people living in the urban, you know, settings.
Because everything around you is created by men. So you start to put your trust in men much more than Allah. And we know all our prophets, may Allah be peaceful with them all, they were all linked to nature. If you look at the story of Ibrahim, he was pondering on the stars, on the moon, on the sun. Shall I worship those elements? But no, I should worship the creator of those elements. You know, so as a surfer, when I was a non-Muslim, I had those type of dilemma. Like I was wondering who is making those waves, who is behind that great creation. And so I think by being in nature, it helped me to become a Muslim. You know, because it became a no-brainer after a while to recognize who is the creator of all this. And that's why even our young Muslim brothers and sisters are becoming atheists, because without telling to their parents, but we know it's happening.
It's happening
because they are living in the cities.
They're always with their phones. They're always on their
with a phone. And that's another thing, you know. As you know, I like to push this concept of phone fasting.
I just did a video about that yesterday.
So I was not reachable for almost 48 hours because
you're phone fasting.
I was in paradise.
You
know, like why I'm gonna get bothered by people's life. So this is another thing. Like, if you have a problem to get away from your phone, it means you depend too much on other people's input in your life, and you don't depend enough on the Quran. You don't depend enough on Allah and on yourself. You know, so the phone is just a tool to use, but it's not the extension of our hand. It should not be the extension of our hands.
It's a powerful thing, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, how, just in the last few seconds, obviously this issue of being away from nature is making the ummah very weak. It's making the ummah very weak. So what can we do to try to change that, to try to help the ummah get back to its strength?
Get back to its roots. Well, I think we need to go back to farming. We need to regain our lands, acquire some lands, cultivate. This is very important. Spend, for those who can spend, invest outside of the city, have your own garden. And just having your own garden is a great thing. Plant a tree from time to time, plant flowers, and get your children exposed to it, you know, and do some manly activities outside of the cities. Like it can be surfing, it can be running, it can be all those sports who are outdoor, swimming in the ocean. But spend some time, spend some time on a rock. If you want to become a rock, spend some time on a rock.
Boom.
That's already the recipe,
powerful,
So when I was surfing, I was seeing those rocks, and I know if I hit it, my board is gonna be broken. Right? And those elements makes you more like to develop your manhood, because it's true. We have a big crisis in the Ummah, and I hear the cries. I hear the cries from the sisters.
Cries, man. We don't have real men.
No, they don't. And it's very sad, and there's an agenda behind it, but it's the solution is in the Quran, and Allah teaches how to be a man, how to be a woman as well, and because of lack of manhood, women have to compensate and do the job of both, which is unfair.
Which is a big problem.
They have to compensate, and that's not the role, and that's why we're trying to convey this message, and hopefully more content will come, down in the future, because it's needed.
Now,
Inshallah.
when we look at the history of Islam, we find that this deen was built on the shoulder of real men. You have people like Khalid bin Walid, Umar Khattab, Hamza, Ali, right? Abdurrahman. I mean, so many Sahaba who were, yes, they were righteous, they were worshippers of Allah, but during the day, they say during the night they're monks, and during the night or during the morning they were warriors. We lost that. Our educational system, it kills our youth. It really dumbs them down, and the Ummah is kind of along with that. They're kind of just like, okay, we're just like on it. We're
you know why?
Following
because
it.
It's comfortable. Self-righteous piety. I'm not saying it's not something difficult to attain, but you don't have to go out of comfort zone. You just have actually to, especially because the world is made of introverts.
Right.
Okay, there's a few extroverts out there, like let's say for example, like me. I do like to talk a lot. I do like to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But 95% of the billionaires are introverts. So when you're an introvert, it's not that difficult to build that humbleness in you, because first of all, you don't like to speak. You don't like to talk to people. So, which is good, but this is not how this Ummah was developed. You need to go out of your comfort zone to do something that is gonna make you grow.
You gotta face your fears. You gotta face
your fears. And for example, one of the biggest fear that people have is to talk in public. So me, when I was a child, I was very scared to sing in front of people. My brother was really good at this, and when I stopped my job when I was 27, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do the thing that scared me the most is to become a live performer. And I started to learn guitar and singing and everything, and I started to perform in front of thousands of people. And I had a band. I lived the dream, But at the same time, before entering on stage, I was scared. Imagine, because this is live.
Same thing happened with me giving khutbas. I've been giving khutbas for 15 years. And sometimes it's still, very...
it's even more scary for you, because you have a huge amana with Allah, you're representing Islam in front of hundreds of brothers.
Sometimes I still get butterflies in my stomach, but then, they say that, and you're French, right? They say courage comes from the word cœur, which is of the heart, the heart. So, which is very powerful, because courage is not necessarily that you're not scared of something, but you might fear something or be scared of something, but you still do it. You face it. And I think this is what we're missing in our ummah right now. We have a lot of
potential.
We have a lot of potential, but we also have a lot of weakness and cowardice. There's a lot of cowards, sadly, in this ummah. And I know people might not like that kind of talk, but this is the reality.
I think they know.
This is the reality. And that's why we're getting bullied so much.
For me, like, being a coward is like not living your life to the fullest, knowing that you can do much better, and you just play small.
Knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you so much.
You play not to lose, not to win.
Yes.
That's the difference between a coward and a winner.
Yes.
And we know every time you play not to lose in soccer, for example, you end up losing, because the ones who wants to win, they put the ball in the net, you know.
Yes.
And this is what happened to the Ummah, and people are satisfied with that. Sadly, they are satisfied with the
Being second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th.
But this is not how we were raised, you know. I mean, in France, we were raised as a powerful nation, and we've been told since we're kids that we are here to win, you know.
So there's a legacy that gets pushed or injected.
But the legacy of the Ummah is much bigger than the legacy of France.
There's no doubt about that.
So have we forgotten our history? I mean, I'm passionate about history. When I look at the legacy of the Ummah,
But what is it? Like we don't believe in it, or we think it's just asatirul awwalin, it's just stories, or what's going on? Like,
you know,
why
at the end
are
of the
people
day,
not doing?
It's all about sacrifice. All the people who left a legacy in this world,
They sacrificed.
They had to sacrifice something that was dear to them. Could be their family, could be their wealth, could be their country. But right now, who is willing to sacrifice? Like, let's say, half of your time. Yeah, I could do business full time and make good money. But what about doing like Omar bin Khattab, spend one day on business, one day listening to Rasulullah? Who does that? Who does that in the 21st century?
Yes.
I know some brothers who do.
Yes.
And I've been doing that for the past few years, you know. But it doesn't reduce your risk. That's the thing. Brothers, they think it reduces the risk. It doesn't. Actually, it does increase it. We have a wrong understanding. Another thing I really want to share about manhood is brothers who are, mashallah, blessed by Allah with a lot of money, but they cannot even compete with the Christians in terms of donations. You know, they're just paying the zakat, and sometimes they're not doing it properly.
They're doing,
Being a man is when Allah bless you with funds, supports projects that are worthy, you know, and sadly, I've been, as you know, in the charity sector for a few years. That's why I stopped, because I realized I rather ask the Christians. To support some projects I do, because they will see maybe more value. And it's very sad when you come to that point, when you have the legacy of Abu Bakr, Omar, who give half of the full wealth. And this is a sign of manhood. You know, when you are blessed with funds, but you keep it in your bank account.
because you're scared again of losing.
Yeah, you're scared and you don't trust Allah, you know, and you think you're playing safe, but actually you're playing a dangerous game. So there's a lot of things that, you know, brothers need to realize, and we hope that, you know, with the support of a few, we can educate more people about those things.
We were just talking about earlier about you know, competing with someone like Netflix, right? Who's got like $100 million budget, right? And we say, how can we even? I mean, sometimes it's a shame that the Muslims are expected to deliver, and people want to see shahada, they want to see the YouTube videos, they want to see all the hustle and bustle, they want to see the conferences and whatnot. And then when you look at competing with the real big boys, you're never going to get close to it. And what's the impact? You're not going to have, the impact will be, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give victory even to the small, but what do we do? We don't start with that, yeah, we're going to just be small, no? They never did that, you know? You have to push, you have to think big, you have to put ihsan in what you're doing if you really want the results. And the results up to Allah.
You have to stop to say Allahu Akbar, because
I
you
know,
don't really
exactly,
mean it. You know, like, the
bro.
thing is, for me, when you say Allahu Akbar, what does it truly mean?
Exactly.
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
Because if you don't leave Allahu Akbar, which means, what does it mean? Allah is greater than anything in this world.
Bro.
Do you wake up in the morning with this mindset?
With this mindset. When
Or you think your country, or you think this person is greater, because you give more importance to this person than Allah. And this is a thing that I think every one of us, we need to have a reality check. Look ourselves in the mirror, and do we really mean that? And if the answer is not, we have to question it big time. Because so far I've been Muslim for 7 years, and I've been in so many Muslim countries. For me, it's just lip serving, and
it's disappointing.
It's yeah. So all we can do is to leave it ourselves, but try to inspire a few brothers and sisters out there who say, no, I want but how to do it. What's the curriculum? How to get there? So inshallah, in due time we can help you with this.
Yes, this is what we're coming up,
with Allah's permission again. But there's a real need for the men to understand what is the benchmark of a Muslim man in this 21st century, and what is the benchmark of a Muslim sister in this century. Because right now, what we think is the right thing is not necessarily what's going to take us to the next level, which means a ummah that is strong, a ummah that is benefiting mankind, that has the respect of others. I mean, respect is important. I don't think we have it right now.
No, we don't.
And I don't think we deserve it.
No.
To be honest, in order to claim respect, you must deserve it.
You must have
how
the
much
track
we contribute
record.
to the GDP of the world? 8%. So we keep on saying, okay, we are 20% of the world. We only contribute 8%.
8%.
When I entered Islam, it was 10. In 2030, it will be 2%. So when you contribute 2% of the growth of the economy of the world, and you're saying you're 25%, what does it tell you? It's a big problem, right?
Big problem. Yeah.
So let's stop to be complacent. It's not, but let's be very optimistic, because Islam is the religion of success and victory.
It's the truth.
The question is, are we going to be part of the success? Or, we're just going to be mere spectator?
Yeah, just chill, just do nothing. SubhanAllah. Those are some great ideas, mashallah. Tabarakallah. One more thing. The understanding of the ummah when it comes to da'wah. A lot of people want to build masjids. I've talked about this before. We had a few discussions. What do you have to say about that? It seems that a lot of people are happy by saying, like, I've built a masjid. We know very well of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that whoever builds a masjid for the sake of Allah, Allah will build for them a palace in Jannah. But I think the ummah misses the contextualization of these ahadith and these, when we learn from the Prophet ﷺ, we don't learn just the text. We also learn the hikmah and where to put that and apply that hadith, right? So now looking at the 21st century, we're just gonna drive by a huge masjid here. There's a lot of masajid. Where do we position ourselves with this? Are we fooling ourselves by just saying, I'm gonna build a masjid? I've done something for Islam. When someone comes like, but we have a great dawah project, we're trying to save the ummah, we're trying to teach the ummah how to be real men, we're trying to bring back, a proper curriculum of Islam. Oh no, brother. No, it's not
Because
good.
we believe more in stone than in hearts.
In hearts. Allahu Akbar. Allah.
And the legacy of Rasulullah is not stone.
Allahu Akbar.
If you've been studying a bit the seerah, you know that his legacy is men with hearts.
Allahu Akbar.
Legends.
Allahu Akbar.
We're not interested into that, because you can see, you can see the masjid you will stand, you have your nice name on it, but ultimately, how many real men going to pray in that masjid? Maybe zero.
SubhanAllah.
Why? How many people do you see at Fajr time?
SubhanAllah.
If you're lucky to be in a masjid where they play one row, it's good for you.
SubhanAllah. In a Muslim country.
In a Muslim country.
In a Muslim country.
And
SubhanAllah.
May Allah guide us.
Imam Ghazali says that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the masjids were so small. It was like palm trees, bro. But the people praying in them, as Sheikh Muhammad Ghazali says that, the people praying in them were giants.
Yeah.
And today we have giant mosques, but small people. Very, very small people, subhanAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and guide us to understand. And last but not least, we have a few more minutes. We talked about the concept of the generation, the ummah of dua. We make dua, and I really, it kills me when someone says to me, brother, just make dua. Brother, just make dua. And I say, no, it's not just make dua, brother. What do you have to say about that? We've had some discussions on this issue.
Well, first, I don't like this word just. Because just make dua reduce the power of making dua. So dua is the first thing. But dua must be followed by actions. And first of all, who are you to think your dua is going to be accepted? Are you eating halal? Are you sure everything you're eating is halal? Do you know is beyond the halal industry? So the thing is, dua is what you start with and what you finish with. But in the middle, there's something that needs to be done and is action. You know, dua is a lot of people like misuse this term like inshallah. When you say inshallah, you have to do it. You have to mean it. You know, not inshallah just to, you know.
Right.
A lot of people when they say inshallah, I know they're not gonna do it.
Right.
It means let's meet tomorrow inshallah. So no, we're not gonna meet, right?
Yeah.
So people have to be careful. So we don't just do dua. We make dua.
We make dua.
But then with a plan of action for everything you do. You know, if your children is messed up, don't make dua, but then what you gonna do to fix him? What you gonna do to give him a chance to perform in this life? You know, so it's the thing. You know, same thing with everything that is happening around the world. What do we do about this? Like some brothers and sisters are really suffering. You know, so yes, they appreciate our dua, but they really need some help right now. So if you are in a position to help, to make a change, to save millions of lives, you have to do it, you know. And we are all, you know, we must all go deep inside our soul to and ask Allah, what can we do this year, 2020, you know, to make a change? Are we going to do the same thing again? Are we going to give our money to the same charity, you know, that has been not performing, and just because it feels good, right? No. You have to try.
Selfish.
No, you have to make sure the money you're giving is going to make a real change.
Impact, yeah.
You know, we're not in that space where, it's good to do good, but to do good with a real impact.
That's even more
this
important.
is what, and that means you give with sincerity. You know, for example.
Something that I want to add, bro, and I think it's a major problem, is that we have reduced Islam to become. We have actually made. You know, we keep saying Islam is not a religion. We've made Islam a religion.
Yeah. Whereas it's a way of life.
It's a way of life. We read the Quran, but we don't really understand. We read the Quran, but we just kind of go over it. It doesn't have any impact. We don't treat the Quran as a book of guidance. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. You know, we don't treat it. It's just like, we read it, Ramadan, cry, Qiyam, Qunut, this, that, go back to the same way, you know. And as we said many times, subhanAllah, doing the same thing over, expecting different outcomes is insanity. And you know, it's really, we've made this disservice to our deen, and especially when, you know, when Allah says in the Quran, when the Prophet will say, "Oh my Lord, my people have taken this Quran as something to be abandoned." And it's not about, people say, it's about leaving it on the shelf and not touching it. No, it's not about just picking it up sometimes and reading. It's about just mumbling and just going over and just memorizing and never taking any action from it. This is what it is. Barakallah feek alaikum, brother Julian. It's nice talking to you.
Arrived.
Alhamdulillah, just arrived.
So, meeting.
Inshallah. We'll see you again soon, I guess, right? There's some stuff coming up, inshallah. Exciting stuff. All right.
Inshallah,
with Allah's will. Bismillah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.